Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bugbear's Basement. I am Chester C. Busby III, and I am joined, of course, by Booster and the chairman here, Mr. DeWolf, and the intrepid Denali Lama, as of course. And we are going to be talking about the Thunderbolts here, which is a great comic run out of Marvel, and we're going to get into that and give you our opinions very shortly on that. But first thing we want to do, of course, is go to the guys and see how they're feeling today. So, Booster, you got a sunny, happy day, man?
Oh, it's sunny. It's morning. Well, it's not. No, it's not morning. It's 8 p.m. I woke up an hour ago. Okay, give me a break. But it's.
No problem. I'm
That's
glad
all right,
you're awake.
Booster. That's okay.
I'm
But
existing.
we got some big news for Booster though. But what Booster didn't know was that we're going to be talking about the election. We're cutting all the Thunderbolts coverage, and we're going election all night.
Yeah.
Welcome
Right?
to Right Speak, where we talk about comics and nothing to do with talk about politics, nothing to do with comics. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
All right. So, how you doing over there, DeWolf, in the middle of this midterm
You just
election
laughed
and
that
such?
off.
I did.
You
Of
just-
course.
How's that red wave going?
So we're talking about Cecil, right? Cecil got out. He's in jail.
Oh, he is he?
You-
Where?
He's in jail, and there was a big deal about Nurkish because I don't know. Was that because he's with the caravan?
He may be.
'Cause-
I think it was caravan related. I'm pretty sure. But
Okay.
scandal
Oh.
right here. Cecil's in prison. Just remember, I didn't say that. DeWolf said that.
Prison. The jail and prison are different.
They
You
are.
heard it here first, folks. We're really got groundbreaking news today.
Okay.
Or we're just lying.
So we're talking about Thunderbolts.
We are going to talk about Thunderbolts, man. Absolutely.
That's all right. I'm cool with that.
Okay, all right, fine. And then, of course, we have the Denali Lama with us. Namaste.
Howdy, howdy. Glad that everybody can join us. Aloha, and let's get rock on the news and then jump onto Thunderbolts.
Absolutely. And just keep in mind, guys, that, of course, hitting that like button and the subscribe helps us out. But the thing that really helps the most is going down there and hitting that share button and letting all your friends and family know that we're on. So please help us out with doing that. And you can also keep in mind we have all our links down below for Fan Speaks Facebook page. Also, you have contacts for me for Facebook and Twitter. If you want to be on this show, we'd love to have fan guests. We try to put them on as often as we can. So just contact me and say, Chester, put me on the show, and Chester will do that. And also, just keep in mind, we also have our Streamlabs donation link down there, which we are using to do giveaways. And if you guys are interested in supporting giveaways on the channel, then please get involved in that. All right, guys. Now, we do want to jump right into the news here, and we'll wait for a few more people to get in here before I jump over the chat. But now, in the news, we had some very interesting things today, and I'm just gonna let Denali handle this. I think that would be the smartest thing to do because the Denali Lama will always be level-headed. So, Denali, take it away.
Sure. When you share the screen.
I am. I'm in the process of doing that right now.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me, though. I do appreciate it. All right, guys.
All right.
Go ahead, Denali.
Our favorite writer, Mark Waid, goes to the channel Nerdist to talk about, his lawsuit with Diversity in Comics, Richard C. Meyer, and asks for money. And what happened to that stream? Everything got censored. Everything's so censored.
Oh, no,
Every
no,
comment
no,
deleted.
No, Denali, no.
But that's it. Yeah, they
it is
censored everything.
Yeah, typical,
Because,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, we see a lot of this kind of nonsense. Yeah.
Well, he probably, send them a very strong worded email saying to fix it now.
Yeah, fix it now. Yes, absolutely. We know how Mark Waid is. But this is actually interesting. We don't need to talk about this very much because, the Mark Waid, drama is ongoing. But I saw something here yesterday that was kind of very similar. And we've seen this stuff happen before. But Blizzard came out with Diablo at their BlizzCon. And Diablo, everyone was expecting Diablo 4, and everyone was excited about it. But they announced a mobile game, and that went so bad. One of the most viral, uh, you know, fan hates I think I've maybe ever seen. I was really bad. They just were so angry and upset with Blizzard for putting out a mobile game instead of a real PC game, because Diablo is of course a PC game. Did you
Oh
guys see
wow.
that?
No.
Yeah, the
I think
reason
this is
Uh,
the biggest controversy for Diablo since Era 37.
it is,
You guys
dude.
remember?
Seriously, it's really bad because we've been waiting what 5 years for a Diablo now. Sorry. Yes, Beowulf. And the reason I mention it is because they went in and we were talking like 200, 300,000 dislikes to a few thousand upvotes, right? But
Woo boy.
they were in the comments just deleting everything. Anybody said anything negative, they're just deleting it. And it's like, man, just take the damn video down. I mean, what are you doing? But I mean, it's the same kind of thing, right? It's censorship. But anyway, moving
Pretty
on.
much. It's all censor.
Now, Denali, this makes me happy. Does this make me happy? I think this makes me happy, Denali. Please go ahead.
So we're going with the ongoing saga of who's been cast on Swamp Thing. And yesterday we were talking about the villain of the role, which was Will Patton as Avery Sutherland. And we were saying, well, that's strange that they announced the villain, but not the protagonist for Swamp Thing. And
That's
here
right.
it is today, the very next day, like they were listening for us to say for that. Derek Mears and Andy Bean confirmed as Swamp Thing. Derek Bean will be the Swamp Thing incarnation, and Andy Bean will be the Doctor
Dr. Holland,
Alan,
yeah. Wow.
version.
And the guys who are taking this under their wing and bringing this into fruition are actually kind of make me happy as well. This could be a good show, guys. This could be a good show if you like Swamp Thing. I am tentatively excited about this. And do you know anything about Derek Myers and Andy Bean? I can't say offhand that I know them very well, but they're probably character actors, I would assume.
Yeah, so one of the more better known roles is him playing Jason from the reboot Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking about the guy in the suit. I'm talking about the guy that's going to be doing the talking. The other guy.
The other guy, Andy Bean.
Yeah.
Well, he was in Transformer the last night.
Ooh, God,
Um,
pain, pain, pain. Oh, sorry.
No, what about this guy in the suit? Because there's a lot that happens with the movement of somebody. Like
Oh, that's true. That's true.
popular one there, is C-3POs. Anthony Daniels made C-3PO from his ability to mime. So
It's good. It's a good
throw
point.
that out there.
And of course,
Yeah.
Swamp Thing also is communicative. He's not this monster. He's he's a doctor. But I just would assume that the Dr. Holland character would be doing voiceover for whoever's the giant in the suit, is what I figured. But it could be going the other way. Do you know anything about that, Denali?
No, they've been keeping a lot of things close to the vets.
Because now you got the CGI dot thing,
Well, it sounds
Yeah,
like they're going for a suit, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it'd be more practical than the CGI and less funny. But then again, Hollywood tends to surprise us.
True.
What's your thought about this, Tank?
I'm really excited about this. I know very little about those who are involved in the project. Andy Dean, I've seen him around before. He usually plays. He is a character actor. Usually plays like the intelligent person of authority.
Mm.
He usually plays like the authority figure, but he's not the dumb authority figure. So, I'm curious. I'm going into this absolutely neutral, which is rare.
Well, and of course I know because Booster is from New Zealand. He is a major lover of Swamp Thing. So, Booster, give us all the excitement. Just spew it all over us.
I don't see what me being from New Zealand has to do with loving Swamp Thing, you racist. What, do you think that I'm a swamp country now?
How about a hill
Oh,
thing?
I can't even. I'm literally shaking right now.
I do apologize. I
You're-
do apologize. Please, but tell us, what do you think about this live action Swamp Thing, man?
It should be pretty cool. There was an 80s movie that was a bloody disaster, wasn't there?
Yeah, but it was also really cool at the same time.
I mean, it depends on how they do it, right? And the thing with TV budgets is I don't think they'll get a very good Swamp Thing, right? It's probably going to be really cheap CG when what you really want with something with Swamp Thing is like a mixture of practical effects with a little bit of CG to kind of tighten them up, a bit of puppetry maybe to make it look as real as possible. That's what something like Swamp Thing deserves, but I don't think we're going to get that.
Well, now you have a little bit of point of reference that the rest of us don't have, because this is coming out of the same streaming service that is putting out Titans, and you've been having your Titan viewings. So, but I mean, aside from the story and whether you like it or not, with the Titans, how is the production value?
The CG's crap,
Ooh,
honestly.
I saw
But
that.
the camera work and everything it's fine, It's fine. I mean, Beast Boy, when he goes into his little tiger form, right? He looks like oh man, that is some really dated CG. It looks like something from the early 2000s in quality. It's really bad CG.
Well, if they follow the Alan Moore run, there will be a lot of nighttime scenes with Swamp Thing, so they can use the darkness to kind of hide some of that stuff.
It didn't help Titans.
Didn't help Titans. Oh my, oh my. Well, anyway, we've been talking about this. Every little bit of information that Denali digs up on it, we've been talking about. I'm kind of excited about it because I love Swamp Thing, and I would love, particularly the Moore run. And it sounds like that's what they're taking a lot from. Although Denali, you did mention something about the new 52.
right, with the elemental force green
Oh, right,
and all
right.
that stuff. Yeah.
But I don't mind that being added though. I don't. That's cool. But anyway, we're going to keep showing you any information we got, guys, and we'll keep sharing it with you. But fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed. All right, let's move on to our next one here. Let me talk about we want to talk about a dumb one or a fun one. You choose, Chairman.
Oh, you know what? Let's do the dumb one.
Okay, dumb one.
We have a lot of fun planned.
Is the Joker queer, straight, or something else entirely? Dun dun dun. Okay.
Oh my god.
Morons. All right, Denali, tell them why they're morons. Please help them. Please.
It doesn't matter. Boom.
Oh,
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
No, you're right. It doesn't matter.
Look, man, the thing with the Joker is he's supposed to be a very mysterious character. He just kind of came out of nowhere. He's just called the Joker. He has no alias. He has no real name. Nothing, right? He barely has even a relationship. He just has goons every now and then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of trying to portray Joker as some kind of sexuality is ridiculous because he is clearly not interested in any kind of relationship with anyone.
Right.
He
if anything,
just wants to screw with the Batman, make some trouble. Hopefully, the Batman reacts and have some fun while he's doing it. That Joker is quite a simple character.
he is, and if he is going to use sex, he's going to use it in a torturous or diabolic way. It's
Yes.
not. He's not a person that loves. He does.
I
Not
would
Here's
put him
the
as
thing.
asexual just because it's the last thing that even comes to his mind.
This type of subject on the Joker is indeed a joke.
It is, yeah. Now, I mean, one question though, DeWolf. Now, because I'm assuming that these guys who are really, 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 really desperately want Joker to be homosexual, desperately, you could feel the desperation coming off of them. This is not the first article I've seen on this, by the way. But now I would assume that these people who really, 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 really desperately want the Joker to be gay, I'm assuming they think that homosexuality is about love, right? I mean, you would assume so, right?
Oh,
You'd hope so.
You'd hope so,
Hmm.
right? I mean, who knows
Yeah.
with these people? But
Oh
that's
my
what I would
goodness.
think it would be.
I think
And
it's just for their weird fetish. Ugh.
yeah, so do
To
I.
make
But I'm just saying, you see
Well,
the
when it
point I'm
comes to
making, right, DeWolf? You see where I'm going with it, right?
the Joker, yeah, homosexual and stuff, and then he's crazoid.
It doesn't.
You don't want to tie those things together. What
No,
the,
no.
and then you get the whole
not
thing
a
with Harley
positive
Quinn. That makes the whole relationship with Harley Quinn even that more disastrous because in the way he's going to lead her on, like it. Yeah, it's just.
It's
Yeah,
weird.
you're saying
Hey, I want to take a shower.
you know what's it's funny?
Later.
It's they're
Bye.
saying they're saying Joker by making Joker queer, overtly queer
Hmm.
by saying Ken and he's queer and not leaving it into a mystery unknown. He's effectively saying, hey, one of the craziest maniacal worthless piece of crap that is the Joker is also a sexual deviant who
And
has mental issues.
and an
And anybody
and a LGBWZY representative too.
exactly. So you're telling the whole population, kind of reaffirming that, hey, you know about those, how sexual deviants are because the Joker's insane. Here's a logical leap from that. Then you better watch out for all those other people because they're crazy as well.
Yeah, it's weird,
Unfortunately,
right? You would think that would be
yeah,
something that they would desperately stay away from, but
Yeah,
nope.
do
yeah.
you think Joker will be interpreted in a fantastic way for the homosexual community? Do you think as soon as he's gay, it's just going to be all bloody sunshine and rainbows? It's like being homosexual is great.
He's gonna make
Also,
his
I'm going to kill these innocent people.
Yeah,
You
it's
know
so
what?
dumb.
It might go back to the Batman 66 where um the Joker's riding on a rainbow.
Well, he is a very colorful character, that's for sure. And we could certainly look back in some of the earlier stuff with the Joker of him being betrayed in a homosexual way. But the reason they did that was because back in those days, homosexuality was still punishable by prison. And it was considered a mental disease and something to be punished and something to be pushed away from, right? So making him have those kind of tendencies and look that way makes him more villainous, more creepy, more disgusting. That's why they did it. And these morons, and I keep using that word because it's the only one I can think of, even though I don't have a limited vocabulary, it's still the best word, choose. Because these change.org people coming up and wanting to make the Joker gay again. You're morons. You don't understand why they had done that. You're asking to do something that actually is insulting the homosexuals. Now, in this modern world, I personally am happy that homosexuals are allowed to have freedom and stuff because why shouldn't they? What do I care what someone is doing with doing in their own bed? It has nothing to do with me, right? As long as they're not hurting anyone, what do I care? Now, other people might have their own opinions on it, but I mean, you're actually hurting your cause, and they're not even aware enough to see that.
Yeah,
Beside
the
the
only reason for the Joker to portray himself that way
Mhm.
is to use it to hurt someone.
Exactly. And that's not the image you want, right? And
That no.
besides, we mentioned already, the Joker is not about sexuality. He is about mayhem.
Now that hunky Batman guy who likes to protect people, on the other hand, I'm just saying.
Well, him and Robin in those tights, well, okay.
Hmm.
Now that's something to explore, on a greater level. You don't want to go. You don't want to go with Joker though.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It's really silly, and they don't understand what they're doing. And I see this all the time. They have no consistency. They fight, and I say they, and you know who I mean by they. I mean these progressives, so-called SJWs. They get on these little tangents, and they just go to the nth degree on them. But they don't really understand the foundation of what they're talking about. And this comes back to many things we said before. One of the reasons why comic books aren't as good, and like what Richard says, Richard C. Meyer says, they loving the science, right? But the thing is, they don't even bother to do any research anymore. They just throw out these nonsensical ideas. But anyway,
Hmm.
And
silliness, man.
It's just it's very clear that fans hate it when you throw this weird sexuality stuff into long-established characters. Why do you think everyone hated the Killing Joke origin part of it so much? You know, when Batman and Batgirl get it on, that was weird.
It was weird.
Oh, yeah.
It
It was
was weird.
very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and of course there was a lot of sex in that book, but in a negative way. That in that book, The Killing Joke, is another
Yeah,
example of the Joker using sex as a tool of violence and mayhem, right?
right.
So I mean,
And
perfect
here's
example.
and here's the justification why they're saying talking about Joker queerness or whatever. It says Neil Adams claimed that the Joker was and always has been homosexual in the Batman file book. The opinion was shared by other comic book author and artists for decades. That's why it's so important to the writer or I guess to the person who petitioned change.org for calls to return make Joker gay again.
Hmm.
For them and other queer readers to return his homosexuality. I'm like saying you're craving so much representation that you want one of the worst villains in the history. It's like asking for Hitler to be gay
Yeah,
just because you want him to represent you. That's basically how I
Oh,
see
well,
it.
yeah.
yeah.
You're asking Hitler to be gay and say Hitler was one of us, kind of deal. And please don't cut it out in context. It's bringing a point.
Oh, I
So do
don't
we have
care about
something
that.
else to cleanse our palate with?
Yeah.
Oh, we do, we do. But before I jump to the happy one, I want to come over here
Mhm.
and say hello, Model 3. How you doing? He says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Joshua Hughes, our most favorite troll, is here. He says, hail, Raven. I say, hail, Pope Fire. Um, we have Winston Smith in here. Will Adrian Barbeau be in it? Sorry, Barbeau. He changed his spelling. I'm not really sure. Maybe Denali can answer that. He talked about Swamp
There's
Thing.
has Yeah, and I typed in the chat. There was no mention of it at this time. Maybe they keeping close to the vest. A pleasant surprise.
Oh, hopefully that would be cool. Nick W says he is insane. Yes, he is. And Pope Robin is here. Hail Robin, hail Raven. Okay, so Robin and Raven are now together. Hmm. I thought Robin was always chasing after the Starfire. Okay.
Hmm.
Anyway, we have, of course, we have Sierra Whiskey in here. Good day, gentlemen. Good day to you, sir. And I hope Raccoon Riot is coming together and fleshing out day to day. And of course, we have Humphrey Bear. Hello, brother Bear. Nice to see you there. SJW Weirdos. Yes, sir. Well, let's try to cleanse DeWolf's palate and make it so he doesn't have to go take another
On,
shower. Yeah, go ahead.
on a lighter note, I do have something to say.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
always just assumed that the Joker was a pentasexual, like from Cheech and Chong's Corsican Brothers. You know, men,
Wow.
women, children, small furry animals, and all things made of wood.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. Yeah, I mean that's probably more accurate to be honest with you. All right, let's move on to something to make DeWolf happy. Now that makes you happy. That right there is going to make you happy. Go ahead, Denali.
Dun, 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 dun.
The
Yes.
Eternals.
Yes.
Yes.
The Eternals. Cosmic universe opening up even wider. The production set to report commence next September. So they're starting. So we got basically a year from now that they're gonna commence the production of the film. So we're gonna give you the news as it comes. We're excited for the Eternals.
We are. I think it would be
Quasar,
cool. Oh, Quasar. Did you say Quasar? I heard.
Quasar,
I heard
Quasar?
Quasar.
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 Well, it's interesting. Yeah, you say this, except Quasar is only loosely connected to the Eternals.
But he is though.
So but it has been teased to Quasar to be in a movie before,
Mhm.
by James Gunn when he was still around, and talking about like another Guardians, maybe Quasar would be in it. And if we're doing the Eternals, though, the Eternals are also cosmic, and they're on another planet and stuff. And I wonder, you could tie in the quantum band somehow. And I'm not sure if they'd bring in Eon. It's kind of a wild entity, so they need to bring in the Celestials, the other entities,
Mhm.
for Quasar to be around. But the Eternals, would definitely be a nice connection to get Quasar in. Even though he's cosmic, he's also a lot of his adventures take place on Earth, which would bring the Eternals closer to Earth. I don't know. It's just it's a cool way. I like to think that it's possible.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle it. You know. Now I know Tank is excited about this. Tank, man, give us some love for Eternals, man.
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm excited. My son has Eternals #7 from the 12-issue original miniseries run.
Oh wow.
We love the Kirby, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited. Marvel movies have a tendency to do a decent job. I mean, if they don't do a great job, it's at least a watchable movie for some popcorn and some friends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, actually. So they better not mess it up.
Nah, I'm looking forward to it. What about you, Booster? You ever read the Eternals, or are you just a strict DC guy?
I'm afraid I don't know much about the Eternals. I think they were created by Jack Kirby, right? And essentially Marvel's answer to the New Gods, right?
Well, it is the New Gods. It's just during all that controversy where he went over and he wanted to do them. Anyway, it's a long story, but in essence, they are the New Gods.
Yeah. So great. Now, so the Eternals are going to come out, and everyone's going to think that the New Gods are going to be a rip-off of the Marvel thing. That's real swell.
Swell. Yeah, smart. Good marketing.
Just like how everyone probably thinks Darkseid's a Thanos rip-off.
Ah, well, there we go. But you know, in truth, though, if we have a choice between the New Gods and the Eternals wins just on name alone.
Oof. I don't know. I'm a New
you
Gods guy, but I don't know enough about the Eternals to really comment. I love New Gods.
That's a tough call to pick between those two. Ooh, that's rough.
You got Makari, right? Or am I thinking Titans?
You're thinking Titans.
Oh, okay.
Now, the New Gods are very important to the whole Darkseid story. They're very sewn into the DC universe for sure. Where Eternals are not necessarily as important for the Marvel cosmology, to be honest. So, I mean, as far as importance, New Gods certainly going to win that conversation. But I don't know. I just always liked the name better. I always liked the characters better because I always thought the New Gods were kind of goofy. I mean, you know, but then again,
Well,
I'm a Marvel
that's
guy.
just like your opinion, man.
It is just like my opinion, man. But I am a Marvel guy for sure. So
Fair enough.
And we should clear that up. I'm a Marvel guy. Tank, what are you?
I like comics.
All right, fine.
I grew up a DC guy, but I like comics.
Oh well, yeah, okay. So sitting on the fence, but he takes DC. Denali?
I'm an indie guy.
Indie guy. Ooh, he's smart, political. That's why he's the Denali Lama. Namaste. Booster's a DC guy for sure. And what about you, DeWolf?
Quasar. Let's see. Yeah, Marvel.
Quasar first.
Be honest,
everything second.
I'm a DC guy, but I have a massive love for Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil, yeah. There's some really good Daredevil runs
everything
too.
Daredevil. I think I've read more Daredevil than anything else.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil's great.
So the Eternals then, and I've had to do a little bit of research just to shake up my brain cells a little bit. They actually come from that concept of the Celestials.
Yes.
Dabbling on Earth. The Earth has been that breeding zone for all things awesome, right, in the Marvel universe. And so the Celestials, though, they've already been teased in the Guardians and Thor and stuff. I guess more the Guardians they talked about.
Yeah.
They talked about them. And so they're out there, and there's the idea, various fan theories talking about the Celestials being involved in Avengers 4. So if we see them, and then we understand that the Celestials have been doing such things, they've been introduced into the MCU, that then gives the idea then of the Eternals movie. Oh, aha. From them came these Eternals, and they're back to Earth because they are in with that cosmic concept of the war between the Skrull and the Kree and such. to defend the Earth, through those war times. So it could be interesting to see them being introduced in the MCU and how they're going to be used
Well, they
as
probably
opposed to the humans.
Inhumans. Ooh, I don't know what they're going to do with those, but I'm assuming they're going to introduce them through Guardians. But who knows? They could do whatever they want, I guess. What do you think, Janelle? You think they're gonna, with seeing the Eternals here, are they going to introduce the Deviants, or do you think they'll cut that out of it?
I think they will introduce the Deviants only because they have to kind of show, who the main antagonists are,
Or were?
and and could be like, hey, we defeated the deviants, and you're like assuming you don't know that they're there, but at the end, they make a reveal that's one of those Eternals that was helping everybody, and was actually a deviant, in
Oh yeah,
hiding.
they could do that. Yeah, sure. Because I mean, now do you think they'll? I think they'll probably put this. We're speculating, guys. We're just thinking off the top of our head, and we're going to move on to the Thunderbolts here in 1 minute. But just speculation. Do you think they're going to set it in modern time like all the other movies, or do you think they're going to take it back to the dawn of humanity, where the Eternals start?
I think
Oh,
they might do it just for the dawn, kind of like the origin
Yeah.
of everything, um, and then bring it up to speed. Kind of tell them the flashpoint like a story, kind of like Black Panther, like how Wakanda was formed and all that, and then you bring it, boom, modern time. These strange people, looking at the world, how it changed. And, it's like civilized but not civilized, just a one step away from barbarianism, but we got to protect them because we're, the Celestials and the Eternals.
Yeah, and if they were smart in the movie universe, what they would do is they would tie the Eternals into being the Asgardians, as into being the Olympians, all the other pantheon of gods across the Earth's history. That would be a good way to tie it. Now, I may be wrong. Correct me if I am, chat. But one of the things that always bugged me about the Eternals is they are not the Olympians and the Asgardians in the comic book. They kept those things separate, and it never made sense to me. They should be exactly what they should be, but they're not. Am I wrong on that, or am I right?
No, I agree. I agree. It's filed under missed opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Like this,
Mm-hmm.
the Eternals were a great device
Mm-hmm.
that could have been used to tie in all of this stuff, tie in the godlike creatures.
Yeah.
And the comics failed to do that. I'm with you. I hope the movies jump on this advantage and also tie it into the whole Thanos storyline, so we could
yeah.
have a bigger picture, a more complete big picture.
And it also would help them deal with the problem, the fact that in Ragnarok, I think it was Ragnarok, or yeah, they killed all. Oh no, it was maybe in the Avengers. They killed all the Asgardians except for what? Thor. And
Oh, yeah.
they
No,
killed them
no,
all.
no, no. They kill half of it. The other half escape.
Did we have confirmation on that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Cord and all that other stuff, it's a deleted scene.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I haven't seen the
Gee.
deleted scenes. And that's it. That's in
So
Ragnarok, or is that was in Avengers though? Avengers, I think.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
no, that would
Ragnarok.
be
No,
it's
Ragnarok. They escape, and then Avenger, the opening scene, they only destroy half of the people, and Thanos says, you should be lucky that I only just
Oh,
destroy
okay.
half of the people.
I see. Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
Anybody want to make any other comments on this great conversation about Eternals? I could do this all day, but we
nice.
can't.
So
Anything? No.
checking the Marvel wiki, right? Checking up on the. I was right. It does say here that Star Fox or Eros and Makari are also Eternals. It also lists Thanos as an Eternal. So
Yeah. Well,
they're
he is.
Titans,
Yeah.
but they're Eternals. Yeah.
Oh, Thanos is definitely Eternal. He's an Eternal from Titan. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that actually, yeah, does tie together a lot of interesting people together. Like you said, Guardians of the Galaxy, some of those other characters that we saw in the Guardians of the Galaxy to this whole, uh, cast of characters that we have.
No, absolutely. And we're gonna keep an eye on that because that looks like it'll be fun. But let's go ahead and move into our main thing today. And of course, today we are talking about the Thunderbolts. The first thing I want to do is just talk about the Thunderbolts in general, and then we're going to get to issue number 6. DeWolf, you want to kick us off here with the Thunderbolts are all about?
Yeah, sure. Because you have to know why it's even possible for this book to exist.
Hmm.
You had Onslaught. Onslaught was created, and he was a massively powerful, force because it was Professor X. And if I get some of this wrong, please jump in there, anyone, Denelli. Professor X and Magneto merge together and creates Onslaught, and very powerful force. And a lot of people are trying to, just stop him. Basically, you understand what that means. In the fighting, at some point, they're in Central Park, and there's a rift created because of all the mental possible energies available. There's a rift that is created. The Avengers, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four are all trying to stop Onslaught. Someone tries to sacrifice himself, go into the rift. They all go into the rift. They push him in the rift. The rift closes, and it transports them off to another dimension. Of course, they're not really dead, but everyone thinks they're dead. And here's where the Thunderbolts then step in, and we actually had them teased, like in, I think it was Hulk 446, where they pop up. They're just a new group out of nowhere. They say, "Hey, we're the Thunderbolts." It's kind of like, "Hey, we're the Great Lakes Avengers." Sometimes you see some people pop up in the Marvel universe like this, and they just do something, and the audience would have seen them, and then lo and behold, now that you have the Avengers gone, you have FF gone, X-Men, you have to have a super team. Somebody has to help save the world, and here the Thunderbolts step forward to help save the world.
In particular, New York.
Right.
Yeah, in particular New York. Yeah.
And I think Onslaught during that time used Franklin Reed, child of Richard and Suze Reed, to create a second son. That was the plan, to destroy the city. Let's make a second son in the heart of New York before he got
Yeah.
Well,
that whole Franklin Richard guy.
Well, Franklin Richard is arguably the most powerful character in the Marvel universe. I mean, that's the way they created. I don't know why they made such an uber character out of him, but they did. I mean, he ends up making Galactus his herald. I mean, that's how powerful he is.
He's a tool for bad writers to use to get around their bad writing.
Yeah, plot tool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's how you get this massive thing that's possible that takes out all these supers that and people think they're dead because of this massive amount of energy that was available. Yeah.
And also another interesting point, these guys come in, these Thunderbolts, and they become heroes in New York. And interesting little point was that because the Fantastic Four are gone, they give them as a headquarters the Freedom Tower, Ford Plaza. What's it called, Denali? The Fantastic. I can't remember the name.
For Freedom Plaza.
For Freedom Plaza, there you go. Which is, of course, Fantastic Four Tower. They give them that, and that becomes their headquarters. Which I thought when I saw it, I was like, eh? That was quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
but
now, of course, we have the first issue then that rolls around, and in the first issue, and like many of the first issues, it's plastered across the thing, high excitement, buy this now. This is going to be awesome. First issue, it's the Thunderbolts. It's the new super team. You gotta pick it up because you got to find out who's going to be, saving New York, who this team of supers is going to be. Yeah, it's going to be these good guys. And you read through it, and they're saving the day, and then you flip to the back page, and that's when Citizen V or Citizen 5, I'm not sure exactly which way you go with that. Citizen 5 says
Citizen V.
Citizen V says to the team in secret, aha, they don't realize we are the masters of evil. And and so as the reader now, everyone's in shock. What are the masters of evil? And they have nefarious purposes planned, but they've given them for Freedom's Plaza. Everyone is looking up to them. They're getting adored already in the first issue, and that continues on for several issues, and hilarity ensues.
Yeah, it does, and it's really interesting where the Thunderbolts go. I mean, the first run of this was about 174, 176 issues. I can't remember exactly, but it was a lot, and they've continued doing it. They're still around. Um, but and the what the Thunderbolts start as becomes something very different by the end, and we will talk about that more later. But the first thing we want to do is we want to just jump into the comic itself and have a talk about it. So let me come over here, blow this up so everybody
Yeah.
can see it nice and big. All right, so
And so this,
yeah, go ahead.
and so by this point, we know that it is Citizen V who is Baron Zemo,
Yeah.
right? Just the cool guy himself that's been around torturing people for so long with his nefarious schemes and plans. And you've got Screaming Mimi. Am I jumping ahead as far
No,
as
no, go right ahead. Just talk about the what's going on. We're here on issue
okay,
6, by the way. Go ahead.
So Screaming Mimi, and she now has changed her name to Songbird. And then you've got Atlas, of course, that we saw right here on the front there. Atlas, who is Goliath, and he was Baron Zemo's bodyguards, right? And then there's the Beetle, and of course, the Beetle's up for murder, I believe, at this point, right?
Oh yeah, he is.
One of Spidey's villains and whatnot. I personally thought the Beetle was pretty cool as a villain beforehand, and then he changes his name to Mach 1. And he puts on this totally cool suit with these wings and stuff. And then there's the Fixer. Fixer is a guy that builds things, and he's now changed his name to Techno. Moonstone is now called Meteorite, and so you've got, and you mentioned it before. You mentioned it before that when we were talking about the Suicide Squad, because I kept talking about the Thunderbolts, and you said the Thunderbolts is a silly name. Well, if you look at all their names, there's something that's not quite right. If you're going to pick a name for people, you're going to pick, Captain America, and you're going to pick, hey, Quasar. You're going to pick Starfire. You're going to pick some really cool names to make these heroes. And some of these names, they just seem kind of blandish or whatever. And that's because they're made up. The Thunderbolts name is made up. They just need something as a cover, And that's where we're left off. Matter of fact, at this point, we even have a young girl that's involved who just joined in issue 4. Her name is Jolt. She uses electricity, and when she finds out they're heroes, she just kind of adopts them. And Baron Zemo is not a fan of having this young, bright-eyed girl all of a sudden like, hey, you guys are cool, and let me tag along. So. And then I guess we have to know, I guess if you scroll a little bit there in order to show Atlas, this is Dallas Rorden on his arm, and she is the office. She works she's their liaison to the office of the mayor of New York.
Yes, and she's also connected to S.H.I.E.L.D. as a liaison. Yes.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you get that, you get that going on. So Atlas is buddying up with S.H.I.E.L.D. here. He's having a good time. All the while we're supposed to be, having our nefarious plans. Don't get involved, because in the end, we're going to tear this thing down.
There you go. There's your.
So there's the setup.
Yes.
So I got to ask if this was done on purpose, because this is the feeling I got from it. I didn't feel like I was reading a 90s comic with the name and the name of the characters and the character designs. This felt like a 80s Saturday morning cartoon. Is that just me? Like, this seemed like something from G.I. Joe to me.
It is much more of a yay fun superhero comic book, even though it's supervillains. Yeah, it does feel that way, and I love that aspect of it personally.
No, absolutely. And I gotta also really have to comment on the fact this is written by Kurt Busiek Resists, I believe. Is that
right?
What we're talking about?
Yeah, the same Kirk.
Yeah,
biceps.
Isaac resists. That's who he is on
And then-
Twitter. I gotta just make note that he made an excellent comic book without any politics. I just like to put that out there.
Well,
I know it's
to be
surprising,
to be fair,
but they
later on in the Thunderbolts, they changed them from what they call them here, and they end up calling the world's greatest social justice warriors. They actually start using that early, dude. Like, I
Oh
don't know,
no!
4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. They
Oh, that's
so
We don't talk about that.
we don't talk about that, but they do go there. But of course, everything after a certain point with Marvel just becomes liquid excrement anyway. So we don't talk about it.
well, it's not. But here's the funny thing: is that Thunderbolt is really a supervillain team up. So them calling themselves the greatest social justice warrior
Oh,
for the greatest super villain team. It's
What social justice warriors are superheroes, but they actually villains in disguise? No kidding.
yeah, yeah,
Interesting. But of course, one of the things they do with Thunderbolts throughout the run here, we're going to start looking at this comic and reading this one specifically. But one of the things they do with Thunderbolts, the general concept here is that they start out being led by Baron Zemo, who's in the guise of Citizen V, and with them all taking their alternate names, as with the Onslaught thing, as DeWolf had said. But their concept is that they're going to act like heroes in order to take over the world, of course. But in the long run, what happens is a lot of the members, not all of them, but a lot of the members of this initial team decide that they want redemption and they want to become heroes because they like being heroes. They like getting fan mail. They like getting accolades. They like it. So they have a change of heart, and that's what Thunderbolts is really all about. It's all about the redemption of bad guys to becoming heroes. And this is one of the things we'll talk about a little bit later, but it's one of the things that makes this so much better than Suicide Squad.
and I wonder, just thinking idly, if was any inspiration for Garth Ennis to write up the boys comics, because this
Maybe.
came out in the 97,
This is
and
97.
the boys came out, afterwards in 2006.
True.
So it might be interesting to see if this is like some inspiration and say, hey, maybe I'll write about a group of misfits, trying to prove that the greatest superhero team is actually not what they seem, kind of deal.
Maybe. And of course, Garth Ennis completely deconstructed the superhero character in general in the boys. That's one of the main things he did there. He's mocking the concept in a way. But just over here in the chat, hello, the DJD show, aloha. Sierra Whiskey, of course, is with us. Thank you for coming. And just keep in mind, guys, you have any questions or comments along the way, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we will respond to them. But I haven't heard from Tank in regards to Thunderbolts, man. What's your opinion here?
Thunderbolts was one of the last comics that I read before I stopped reading. It was actually pretty decent. I like the character designs because despite the fact that they're well into the 90s, and I don't know, most of y'all might be aware that 90s character designs were atrocious. They were just terrible.
Yeah, they were.
The Thunderbolts designs were really good. Like Atlas, I still love the design for Atlas.
Yeah,
It's
That's why
simple. I mean, it's got that.
like an 80s Saturday morning cartoon and
Yeah.
not a 90s.
Atlas is super
Yeah.
cool.
That's why I mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like as an artist, I can look at this picture of Atlas up on the screen and really appreciate the design and the way the artist did it, despite the fact that his biceps are just clown shoes, which bothers me deeply, deep inside, somewhere very deep. I die a little bit.
We will talk about the art throughout this comic book for sure, and we will dissect the feet for that. Will be certainly.
Oh
done.
yeah.
Yeah,
But that character design is solid. That would work today. That would work in the 80s. That would work in the 70s. That would work in 10 years from now. That is a good, solid, simple to reproduce, detailed enough to grab enough attention. It's an iconic design. Same
It
thing
is.
with Citizen V. Even though he had the chrome mask and everything was chrome in the 90s, really works.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
good.
and that flag motif, on the shoulders.
Oh,
That's
it's
that's
so
so
cool.
patriotic,
Mhm.
you know. And like, hey, I am American. I am awesome. I'm good. I'm one of you, and everything. And then and with the cape though, that's not the cape. It's just simple black. It's a good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no,
It
and
totally works.
it does, but we'll get into the fact that not all the costumes do work. And this is kind of interesting too, because at this time, Nick Fury is not in charge of Shield. We have Bridge is in charge instead, which is hardly a character anyone knows anything about. But anyway, let's go ahead and read through this and a little bit. And so Booster and Tank. Let's see. Booster shall be the assistant Shield who's going to help, and Tank
Mhm.
shall be Bridge, and I shall read the yellow boxes. Okay?
Oh, let me just get
All
that book.
right.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
Oh no, what page are we on?
Yeah.
No, I
Uh,
think
it's showing right on the Hangouts. All you have to do is look on the Hangouts, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead,
Agent
DeWolf.
Sarah, can you identify this bit? Oh no, I messed it up already.
What did you want to say, DeWolf?
I was just gonna say that when we get to Zemo, I think Zemo is Booster.
Oh, you want him to be Booster? Okay, that's cool. So,
I'm just I'm
Todd,
just throwing that out there now.
okay? Okay, cool. We'll let Booster be Zemo slash Citizen V, and we will have. You're right. That's a better idea. And we will. You got to do your best German. You got to be a German Nazi Booster. Um, and we'll have Todd be the assistant here, and Tank will be Bridge. Okay. All right.
All right.
Here we go.
Gotcha.
And Denali, just pick up whatever needs to be picked up. Okay.
All right.
All right, so Avengers Mansion. For years, it headquartered Earth's mightiest heroes until the team disbanded after the apparent deaths of their core members. Now it's held by SHIELD, the world's foremost international intelligence and peacekeeping organization.
Agent Sire, can you identify this man?
Yes, sir. Of course, Mr. Bridge, sir.
Oh, good. I hate to think the agent assigned to him didn't even know what he looked like, but it started to seem that way. Tell me about him, sire.
Zemo Helmet J, 13th Baron of the Line. What? Son of a Nazi super scientist Heinrich Zemo, an internationally wanted criminal and would-be world conqueror, first came to...
I know all that, sire. Tell me something. I can't see. There we go. Tell me something new. Current status?
What? You got it on me. Well, he's up to something. We know that. He's broke jail months ago, killing 3 guards in the process. We know he was at his castle for a while.
Continue.
Oh, in a sub-basement we didn't previously know about. Since then, he's disappeared from sight.
He led the most effective incarceration of the masters of evil. Is that what he's up to? Put together another squad together?
Could be,
Oh my
sir.
goodness.
They've been two breakouts at the vault, and enough other supervillains on the loose. He'd be plenty to pick up from. But we don't know. There's a new group of masters active, but Zemo's not involved, or doesn't seem to be anyway. The new masters were briefly connected with Hydra. Word Zemo was making inquiries about Hydra and Strucker, but nothing we can pin down.
Well, pin something down, sire. If there's one thing worse than Zemo on the loose and kicking up a ruckus, it's Zemo on the loose and staying quiet. You understand?
Yes, sir, Mr. Bridge. We'll redouble our efforts.
G.W. Bridge is the current head of SHIELD. He doesn't like it when dangerous megalomaniacs are running free on his watch.
Where are you, Zemo? Where are you?
He'd like it even less if he knew that Zemo and the Masters of Evil were as close as 4 Freedoms Plaza,
Well, that's odd.
headquarters of the Thunderbolts, the super team that's taken the place of the Avengers in much of the world's hearts. And here we go. Unstable Elements is the name of this one, and this kind of interesting little dialogue goes on here. Because Thunderbolts are the masters of evil, posing as superheroes to lull the world into a false sense of security, awaiting the ideal moment to reveal their true colors and strike. At the moment, however, their attention is not on furthering masquerade. Go ahead.
Nothing's wrong with you. Okay, nothing's wrong with you, Atlas. It's just, well, see for yourself.
But on discovery, the reason for the recent changes in Atlas's powers.
Oh, come on, Tech. You know I can't make heads or tails of that stuff. Explain it to me in words of one syllable, okay?
If you insist, used to be your strength and invulnerability came from ion process that you were subjected to, and your growth power were fueled by prim particles, just like giant men, but not anymore. The prim particles have been flushed from your body somehow, probably while we were freeing you from that cosmoplace, and your growth is now entirely caused by the ionic transformations.
Huh? Well, that must be why I'm not super strong at normal height anymore. I just get tougher and stronger as I get bigger.
But that's not all. The ionic energy itself has retreated as well. It's still in there in your cells. But the cells themselves look practically human again, not the ionic furnaces they used to be.
Human again? Well, that's kind of cool. Does that mean I could maybe have kids someday or like that?
Kids? Your relationship with Dallas Redrodan going that well? Rioden. Yeah.
Riordan.
I'm just asking.
Rioden. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is where Booster's going to come in, and I love it too because this is like really old-fashioned comic stuff where they're explaining every little thing to you, right? It's I love when they do that. It's fun. Helmut's
And here's Cobra Commander.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Helmut Zemo, in his guise as Citizen V, watches his mood sours. Meteorite was right, it seems. His men are enjoying their roles too much, enjoying their public approval, and it's softening them, making them more human. And humans are the last thing he needs. He needs soldiers, supervillains, weapons. He clicks his tongue in irritation, and his fingers dance on the keyboard, changing the view of his screen from the med lab to another part of his headquarters. All right, these guys are.
I don't believe.
Let's skip over to the Zemo part. These guys are just really excited. Look, we're getting fan mail. Ooh, it's exciting. Wow, we're popular.
I can believe it. Wow, fan mail.
Exactly. These guys are also happy. Moonstone is acting with Jolt as if she's, could be mother-like to her. And Zemo is watching all this, and he's mad, right? So he comes in and he says, "To my office immediately." And then, boom, up top, we have Moonstone. Who wants to be Moonstone?
I'll be
I'll do it.
Moonstone.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Tank's going to be Moonstone, and Booster is going to be Zemo. Go for it, guys.
You ring, sir?
Ah, Meteorite. And how are you today? Not plotting against me, are you?
Plotting against you? Me? Have you forgotten we have a deal? My loyalty in return for my freedom from the vault?
A deal, yes, but one you agree to easily and without viable alternatives. That, I fear, could color your observance of it. Don't think I haven't noticed how you've cheered Mark 1 and Sonberg's Fearon, or Atlas's with that Rorden woman.
Oh, you did give me the responsibility of keeping the team functioning and convincing in their roles.
Functioning, yes. Was adulpated. What the hell is this word? Someone say this word for me.
Adulpated.
With romantic thoughts and dreams of family. No. And speaking of which, it was you who talked me into bringing that wretched little foundling onto the team, forcing us to continue the role playing 24 hours a day.
Me? It was you who decided to broadcast our battle, making her so popular we couldn't convincingly turn her away.
Me?
I've been performing my duties as best I can, Baron, and they require considerable improvisation. I've been dealing with repercussions of our public acts.
And dealing with them admirably, my dear Dr. Sofen. And perhaps I'm wrong to suspect you, but it does seem you're expending a great deal of effort over a minor inconvenience. Perhaps we can ease your load and prove your loyalty in one stroke by having you arrange a fatal accident for our poor fledgling superheroine.
Kill her?
Do you have a problem with that, Doctor?
Not conceptually, of course, but it could damage our reputation and make us seem incompetent if we add an adorable and
telegenic
teenager to the team,
Yes.
and prove incapable of protecting her.
Well, I'm sure you'll think of something. After all, you're quite inventive, aren't you? In the meantime, we must restore discipline to the team. First, I think an accelerated training schedule to take their minds off of their distractions, and then perhaps a foray of two under their true identities to remind them of who they are.
So you decided you were wrong then? When you lectured Mach 1 about the unnecessary risks of doing anything criminal during our imposture?
Wrong? Hardly. That was entirely different.
Reorder to T-bolts. Reorder to T-bolts. We have an emergency.
Well, the mayor's office. I wonder.
Okay, now. That was
What do they
excellent.
need from us today?
Claps.
That was
claps,
excellent.
Claps. That was wonderful.
fucking brilliant.
wonderful.
Oh my god.
I don't know, Tank, why you chose that voice, but thank you. And Booster, that was brilliant, dude. Now,
It was Booster, you were great. Oh,
yeah,
dude, that was awesome.
perfect, dude. That was
I
perfect.
went for a Dr. Monarch.
That was the perfect Zemo. I think that's what I see in my head actually. Now I want to stop here. It's actually a perfect place to stop. And the reason I want to stop is because look here on the left hand side. First of all, Moonstone's or Meteorite Girl, whatever her name is, her costume is horrible. We were talking about costumes earlier, and some of them are cool, which they are. Atlas got a great costume. That is a horrible costume. It's horrible and it's wonky. And look at that leg. Look at it. Look at it.
Definitely one of those really
Terrible.
90s over-designed ones, isn't it?
It is
Yeah.
ridiculous, and it's
Ankles.
Where's her bone? Is in her leg. It's all floppy.
now we have two artists here with us now. Todd and Tank, tell us, what do you think about that leg being in a comic book, actually being printed in a Marvel comic book?
Well, not only this leg, but there's zero eye flow in this panel whatsoever.
Yeah.
In a lot of his panels, I mean, he's very talented at drawing anatomy and showing how value and stuff like that. But these are so terrible as far as size. You saw huge panels that go the whole length of the page on one side, but there's nothing to lead your eye up back to the top on the other side. Zero. So that leg is bad, but I mean that's not the only place. And I've never really looked at Bagley like this.
Yeah, look at this. Look at these breasts on Moonstone right here. Look at how wonky
God.
that is, man. It's really bad, dude.
It's like
I'd
thing
hit
there with
that.
the horn.
I don't care what you think. I would give that a nice squeezing.
Oh goodness, dude,
It's
that
like
is
Hellboy's
wonky.
arms.
Yeah, it's
It's like
really
he's
bad.
No,
one big arm and one big.
It's so bad.
Oh my god.
yeah, it's off model because look, it doesn't even stay consistent throughout the whole.
It doesn't.
I was about to say no, it's terribly inconsistent.
It's just her hair. Her hair is the only thing that maintains consistency.
And it looks just
this
awful.
was a hot book too. It wasn't hot at first. It was sort of misplaced, but then as people heard, oh, they're hiding some villains as heroes, it became a really, really hot book.
And this page improves, and of course you notice something about this top picture here, and we don't have to read that. I just wanted to give some touch on the characters. Really wanted to hear Booster do Zemo because I knew it was going to be awesome. But you notice here at the bottom, we see basically no feet. They've been cut off, except for Jolt, and then we see a little bit of her feet, kinda. And it's like,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, look at it.
Yeah, they're hiding them because it's too much of a pain to draw them. So you cut them off behind. It's kind of like we're showing you the magician's tricks behind the scenes kind of deal.
Yeah, no, honestly, that panel right there would have been better if they had moved the camera up about 6 feet, you know?
Now we can't show every page, so I'm gonna move forward and find another place for us to continue. But
now wait, you got Mach 1 here, right? Mach 1 with the Starfire suit, you know? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? I gotta give him credit for that.
Oh, the Mach 1 suit's good. I like the Mach 1 suit, yeah. But it's just so wonky, and it continues on this horrible. The Moonstone one is the worst. But I'm just going to go here and find. Here we cut this. This is a good place to come in. Now, basically, what happens is, and we don't have to go through and read this. We'll just talk about what's going on here and give our general ideas. Let me put this back up for you guys to see. But what happens is Riordan comes in, and she says that there has been a ship that has been sunk. And there has been a threat that has come in and toward the airport and Madison Square Garden. So Zemo decides to split the teams, and he splits the teams intentionally to have Songbird, who is basically Green Lantern, and Mach 1 separated because he wants to put the kibosh on these romantic things that are going on. Because we saw that Atlas is having some, romantic feelings for Riordan, but you also have Songbird and Mach 1 are becoming very close and as well. So he wants to. So that's where we have our two teams, and they have landed in Madison Square Garden minutes later. So now we've been talking about the team and what they do, and now we want to talk a little bit about who they're fighting here. They are fighting. Who are they fighting, Denali? The elements of doom, he says. Yes.
Of doom. And I didn't choose this because I was the one that chose this comic. I didn't choose this particular comic, for the elements of doom. I just want to go ahead and point this out. All right.
It was kind of funny.
It is funny.
And no, it was funny, and I was muted, so I was saying element of doom. I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait.
No, it's hilarious. I mean, just look at this dialogue, guys. And this kind of brings back what Booster said. It felt like a, Saturday morning cartoon or something from the 80s. And it does have that feel, which I'm not against, actually. But it says here you have this element of doom character. And he says, "Our doing humans, you may call us the elements of doom. I am phosphorus. And with me are scandium, barium, cobalt, and hafnium." And they continue with this, guys. They name off all kind of elements, and it's like, oh my goodness, really? It's like
you have to also remember that they might have been doing this because of the X-Men anime series that was happening around that time, and also Spider-Man and all, when they were dominating the airways. So they could have just been doing that. So, hey, if we have to introduce a Saturday morning cartoon, here you go, kind of deal.
Yeah, but it just feels like some writer got a hold of the periodic table for the first time in their life and went crazy.
Yeah, the idea is to have someone for them to fight, and because just to sort of keep things going for them, because they need some bad guy that's expendable. And here's the elements of doom.
And it's a great fight. It's a really good fight.
Yeah, New Hero Comics says, "Isn't naming their element the best way to know how to defeat them?" Yes, it would.
And that actually comes up. You're right. And John Diller, Game the System, says, "What is a deconstructed hero? Why is it important? You should care. Do I have to be smart to enjoy a deconstructed character? No, but I don't know how that exactly applies here. Um,
Absolutely. You have to have a
I,
huge IQ to love
yes,
deconstructed characters.
huge.
well,
Huge IQ.
yeah, he was more talking about when we were talking about the boys, and you were
Oh,
mentioning
right.
that the
I'm
whole
sorry. Yeah,
run
yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. No, well then, absolutely, John. Good point. Here you see they're also attacking a plane coming into LaGuardia Airport, and of course we get a good shot of Mach 1. It's called Mach 1, right? And
Yeah.
the
Yeah, Mach
fixer are
1.
sitting here working together. We get some good Mach 1. There's a really good scene coming up. I'll get to here in a second. But there's great fighting, good fighting. The girl comes up, Jolt comes up with an idea to use the elements against her. It is a great fight scene. She uses water because we know what happens when sodium and water are mixed. Da da da. Chemistry
Yeah,
101.
you know, the fixer slash techno,
Mm,
he really has upped his game. You know, originally when he came out, he was just sort of a gadget building dude. And now he's like kind of like Forge. He almost looks
very
like
much.
Forge as
He
well.
looks a lot. Yeah.
He creates all kinds of things. I think you use the term Green Lantern. It's kind of like the Green Lantern of microchips and hardware.
Yep. Well, Songbird also is very much a Green Lantern ripoff. She uses sound to make solid objects, and but I mean, anyway. But here you talk about Mach 1 and Fixer working together. There's a great scene right there. Look at that panel. Now that's a good panel. Look at that.
Yeah, and the dialogue trying to explain it to the folks,
Yep.
and
Yep.
he's got to tap into the flight computer and try to land this thing. And yeah, it has that matter of fact, that looks like a cool movie. That's almost like the grab your monkey from Iron Man 3, right?
No, absolutely. It's a great panel as well. But Denali and I were talking earlier when we were preparing for this, and one of the things that's it's arguable, right? But in this book particular, and throughout the run here, there's a lot of exposition, and it's
Yeah.
really going back to the old time where they explain every little thing to you. It's almost like it's a radio show, right? I mean, that's how detailed,
Right.
my punch is
But
coming at your head now. You shall feel my fire. That kind of thing. Um,
right.
but what do you think,
And
Denali? Does it work or not work in this case?
I mean, it's still going with the Stanley motto that every issue is a first person's comic book, so you have to tell exactly what's going on and kind of get them hooked to say, hey, if you really want to know, here's the issue. Go issue X, Y, and Z to find out more, kind of deal. For kind of us, I believe they could streamline it. There's a word that is economy of words that better writers do is that he could have used half the amount of word to tell more of the story. Right now, it's too much. Blah 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 blah.
It is.
Here's his substance. Blah 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 blah. He could have easily cut like about 30 to 45 words out of one panel. Like, I got the onboard flight computer that is as good as what this thing had. He could just cut this. I got an onboard flight computer. Boom. What you helped build it, remember? And hook it up to your tech pack.
Yeah,
Boom.
but he doesn't even need to do that. All he has to do is say, hook me in. My flight computer will take care of it. Done.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's like they could cut a whole lot of this jargon out and just tell the story to kind of move it along.
I don't know though. I kind of like to know things and what's going on and stuff like that. I like to, and there's nothing else going on there. That's a cloud. It's an empty piece. Unless you want to add more panels or something.
Yeah. No, I agree, DeWolf. It's this book has silly villains. It has way too much exposition. It has certain points of horrible art, but I still love it. I don't know why, but I love it.
And Denali said something earlier about he's spot on when he was talking about Stanley's idea of this is your first one, and which made it easy for me to choose this one again, because in the beginning there was the narration blocks that said, and here we have these guys who are the Masters of Evil. It explained everything, right?
Mhm.
And I knew that going in. I said, oh yeah, this is going to be great for us to do on the show, because it tells you again what's going on right off the bat. That's more exposition, but you get the story, because maybe this is the only one you've picked up so far.
Yeah, and it stands alone too. This is a standalone comic, easy enough. Now they continue having battles with these guys, and these are a big challenge for them actually as it goes forward. But this itself stands right alone, and you could just read this and enjoy it. Now, Todd, I wanted to ask you that you see this panel I'm talking about that I've left it frozen on, and I think it's one of the better panels in the book. What do you think about the composition here from an artistic point of view?
It's actually a decent page in total, because there's really no. I mean, you never know what's going on in a guy's life and why he's got to hurry up certain things. But there are those quiet pages. Like, for instance, my book, I've drawn all my quiet pages already, and now I'm getting to the action pages. And action pages are very important. If you look at most books, it's sort of 50-50 action and 50-50 quiet. And you better sell it. If you can't sell the action, you might as well fold up your table and go home.
Yeah.
And he sells it. He does it really well here, you know. I mean, there's some flight lines that really sort of, he doesn't have to draw a lot of background, whatever. But it definitely works here. This is fine. This is a really good page.
You have anything to add to that, Tank?
Yeah, it's not a bad page. It's not a bad page. Like, honestly, if you scroll back up to the top, the scene where that frame where he's coming in from behind, scroll down, panel number 3.
Okay.
So panel number 3, where you have the guy who's trying to do trying to hack into the computer, through the flight computer with all his tech. He's in the foreground. You have the other guy, Mach 1's in the background. Mach 1 should have been in the foreground. The other guy in the background looking over his shoulder as you see what the plane is headed towards. You know that the plane is there. You know the setting already. That's already been set up. You could see the guy you would see the guy at the top looking over his shoulder because he's like, I need you to catch up to me. So that way when we scroll down, and where you see the guy, and this is something that's kind of rough. Like, if you're going to swap the side of characters, which side of the frame they're on the same page, you really have to make it obvious, because otherwise it breaks that flow. So where he's in this lower frame, which that's what, panel 4.
That's a bad frame.
It's really terrible because, like, even with the action lines, because the word bubbles cover up most of the action lines, it's without the frame before and after, you don't know what's really going on in that frame. And then in the final frame, that's really nice. I mean, I would have done something a little more dramatic. Like, that's the frame I would have had headed right at the audience with, Mach 1 all crouched over trying to make himself aerodynamic, while the other guy's got like cables and stuff leading to Mach 1, leading inside the thing as he's clinging to the broken glass of the windshield, trying to hold on for dear life. But other than that, no, this is acceptable. This is what I think John Malin would term as acceptably bland.
Acceptably bland. Well, I really like this panel. That's why I chose to stop on it, and I'm glad you guys gave us. So
it's gorgeous. I do like it.
Yeah, cool.
Here's something else that panel is really cool about, and it's not the art. It's not the artist. It's the writer, because the very next panel, is not them. Right?
Yeah, no, they're back to
so
Madison Square Garden.
You get this horrible narration block, or everyone inside gets smeared across a dozen city blocks, right? Maybe that should have been over in the other panel, so that when you went to this one, it's just kabash, right?
Yes.
And
that should have been a big page. Sorry.
Depends on the page, though. If the one before isn't even and the next one is odd, I mean, you could do that with even and odd, but you can't do that with odd to even. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah,
but my point is here is that the writer has left that scene, stuck. It's high intensity, and we're going to leave it be. And what's cool is where it ends up going, because they don't actually give you that resolution. It comes in a much different, more subtle way, and I kind of thought that was interesting in my opinion from the writer's perspective.
Hmm. Cool. Anything to add to this,
Yeah,
Booster?
Chester.
No. I'm just curious if Booster wants to add to this conversation.
I think you are all correct.
Thank you, Booster. Awesome. Now, this is kind of interesting too. This girl who is basically Pink Lantern, she is trying to solve the problem as one of these elements has got using gas to poison and kill people. So she's I can't do it. I can't fix it. It's not working. My fans aren't working. So at this moment, of course, the guys we don't see resolution with the airplane, but boom, here they are. 2 pages later, they've fixed the airplane problem, and boom, here they are. And he says, "Here, tries this," and he shows her a schematic, and she creates this schematic, and it took her a few tries, but she finally got it. And it's just showing her making her sound creations, a la Pink Lantern, to solve this gas problem. And of course, Atlas is over there making holes for this gas to get out and stop killing the people stuck in Madison Square Garden. And of course, we kind of just go real past the fact that he's making giant holes in the side of Madison Square Garden. But hey, But this continues on. Just to finish this comic, they fight, and it is a good fight scene actually. And they get to the point where the bad guys realize they have to retreat, so they do. And Zemo says, "No, don't follow them. We need to clean up the situation and deal with it." So, which brings us back to Thunderbolt Tower now instead of the Fantastic Four Tower, and they are chatting. Now, this is a very interesting point here, Denali. They're talking with this lady who is with the mayor's office, but she's also connected as a liaison to S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. And
Right.
this is kind of interesting little dialogue comes up. Citizen V, or Baron Zemo, is demanding Avenger file information because these enemies, these elements of doom, are actually Avenger villains, and he wants Avenger files. Of course, he wants it for different reasons, and he makes an ultimatum here. Booster, could you read
Right.
this last little page for us, and then have Denali wrap that up, please?
Absolutely, I can.
You what? I am tired, Mrs. Roden. Tired of risking my life and my team's lives and being rewarded with suspicion. I want those files. I want your security clearances, and I want them now before we aid you any further. Thunderbolts out.
Brilliant, dude. All right, go ahead, Denali. Now, of course, Jolt disagrees with this, and he says that's an order. Sorry,
Yeah.
Booster, that's an order.
Meh.
Say, yeah, meh.
That is an order.
What do you think about this last little point here, Denali?
He's playing high stake poker.
Yeah, he is.
Because this is Baron Zemo, and he's saying, this is what we're gonna do. We need a security clearance for, this is the reason why we're all masquerading for, being Thunderbolts. And he kind of points out to Joel, was talking about it earlier and saying, you're not one of us. You stay here and you're not going to go.
Yeah,
and
no, Jolt is not aware of what they really are, by the way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no,
but again, now that I notice what Todd said, it's kind of hard following along, where the artist wants the panel to go, where you want us to read, kind of deal. So I'm like rereading this and looking at it, because it took me a while to kind of like get into the rhythm of things, and I kind of get it with how they're putting the panels in place to kind of do it, but it's kind of disorganized for it.
It's hard. It's a team book, Denali. It's really not that easy to do with a team.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, the reason why I threw that over to Denali is because this is issue 6, and up until this point, Baron Zemo, as Citizen V, has been interacting with the mayor's office in a very pleasant way. Superhero, yay! We're going to save the world. We're going to protect New York, all that kind of stuff. And this is the first time he's really made an ultimatum to the mayor's office and Shield in the end. And he's, this is the first time he's made that kind of comment. He's pushing it. That's why Janelli said high stakes poker. And of course, Jolt, who is go get him, gung ho superhero, wants to save the world. She doesn't understand, of course, because she doesn't understand what they really are. This is the last picture of the book here. And this panel that I am moving the mouse over. What do you guys think of this panel? I mean, this moon, I can't not get past how bad a design Moonstone is. I mean, look at those legs, look at her thighs. It doesn't work.
So I can take
Yeah, but
it by
you
the
hold
fact that
on.
she's concealed in the
Hold
shadows
on.
that she's going to be the villain with Mr. Zemo in the end of the book.
Is the
as well.
girl going to be?
Yeah.
And this team is going to turn on them both.
DeWolf, why don't you go ahead and field that question?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Booster got it right. That's the idea. You're showing her as the dark, more ominous person. Jolt, of course, is right in front. She's the wide-eyed, girl, and she's the innocence. So there she is. Same thing with Songbird. Mach 1, he ends up in a bad place, but he likes the good stuff as well. And all these guys are, but in the background, you got Meteorite or Moonstone, and she's definitely going to be that more villainous concept. And she even says it right here. Well, fun and games, and with Baron Zemo.
Right, and you kind of build up with the frustration that Zemo has been having throughout the issue. That he's trying to remind them. It's like, remember who we truly are. We are not the good guys.
Right.
Kind of deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing to keep in mind.
So we also.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we also have a fresh perspective that is joining me. If you want to get Dazzler's perspective,
please, by all means. Let
Yeah.
me go ahead and switch that over. By the way, hold on a second. Give me a second to switch that over.
Sure. While he's doing that, just to answer New Hero Comics, and yes, the answer is Mark Bagley, who is the penciler on this.
Which is shocking to me, but hey.
Right.
Go ahead. You are white boxed, DeWolf. Let's hear Dazzler's opinion.
All right, hold on. I can't click both of those. That would be silly. So, one thing about this is she didn't know anything about them. So I had to go ahead and, kind of fill her in. She's new to comics. Isn't that great? Because she is a new perspective. She is the new comic book reader. This is who we want in Comicsgate. We want someone who is now bringing forward new eyes, new interest, and is going to start a whole new life in this cool, awesome, hobby of ours, right?
Yeah.
All right. So after reading number 6, what do you think about the story of the Thunderbolts compared to other superheroes and other book comics that are out?
I liked it. It was cool. Some parts it was weird. I was looking at it and I was like, wait a minute. But I thought that some of them were devoted to good, but I guess this guy just isn't. He's just like, no, you cannot help. And I'm like, wait, what?
Right. That was the last scene we just talked about. And she mentioned that. She said, wait, in the very, very last part of that, Baron Zemo is yelling at them. And that was a big moment in this comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the team.
Yeah. There was also this one part where Jolt was just owning dudes. And he was just like, hey, you don't want to do that. And I'm like, she's owning them.
Oh, she's stopping some of the elements of doom. And that's a good point. What about the artwork?
Owning them.
What did you think about the art? Because we talked a lot about the art.
I thought it looked good. In some places, it was just like, that doesn't look right.
Yeah, that's the 90s for you.
Yes, insightful. She is.
It just didn't match up. It was like, wait, but this person looks fine, but this person looks weird. Like, wait, what?
See, that's what we're talking about. So, so artists, you got to make sure that you're drawing these things right, because it's not just us. It's not just us. You know, Dazzler's 10, and she's going, what? Right. All right, guys. Any questions? Anything else that you want to field for her?
Yeah. What's her favorite character in it so far?
I like Songbird. I think she's cool.
Hmm.
She is cool.
Jolt is also pretty cool though, because yeah.
Oh, she's a good fighter,
When-
actually.
What do you think about the aspect of the romance between them, and also Atlas and the Rorden,
Rorden.
the woman connected
The
to the
woman.
city in Shield?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I was kind of stuck on the fact that the mayor called them to deal with these people, but I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I guess they're just trying to become good. But I think it's okay. I mean,
Romance does that have a place? Does it build the story?
I don't think so.
You don't think the
don't.
relationships were helping
well,
the story?
I mean, like the relationship between him and the Shield girl just didn't do anything. Like they
Oh.
mentioned it like once, and that was it.
Well, you got to build it up over time, right? Over the entire series.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very interesting perspective.
It is.
I have a question.
So you wanted more action? So the action took
Yeah.
more prominence, and the plot line, instead of maybe social dynamics.
hmm The first one had more action than the one that we're talking about. The one before.
Yeah,
the one before this one.
okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
But
I have a question for her. Did she read a variety of things? Like, did she read non-team books and team books? I mean, what does she like better? Team books or single characters that have?
I like both. I think I like them both equal. I mean, I really like Dazzler, and she's a single person kind of.
Right.
So yeah, but the Thunderbolts are pretty cool though.
Mhm.
So yeah,
They're an entirely different kind of story, though.
yeah, they
Yeah.
are like pretty much after Dazzler and like all the other superheroes.
They're not a favorite
Kind
of yours.
of.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Dazzler is certainly
Yeah.
the best. I understand that.
Now, how many books from this period of comics do you think she's read?
I think still less than a dozen. I'm just
Oh,
now
okay.
getting her up to speed. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to ask something too. Yeah. Okay.
But she's
Great
already
job, kid.
opinionated about it.
Very,
and
very.
she's already.
Her comprehension's great. Great, she gets it. And I loved how she used owning. That the girl owned a bunch of the men characters that she was going up against. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Are you done? So,
I think.
you have
I don't know.
You want to hang with us some more? Jeez. Okay. All right, guys. Go ahead and take it away. We'll just hang
Welcome
out
to
for a bit.
Comicsgate, young girl. You'll make a fine Nazi.
Oh, goodness gracious, Booster.
Well met, young one. You are very astute for your age. Keep up the
Absolutely.
good work.
Yeah. No, it's cool that she mentioned, because actually in this comic book, Jolt is a really cool character, actually, and I'm kind of surprised she didn't stay around, because I don't know of Jolt being a main character. Maybe I'm forgetting something I should be remembering, but she was a pretty good character, actually.
For a teenager, she remembers stuff. Like, and I was reading it, and it was like the elements of doom, and she was like, oh, I remember. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Wasn't it like
Sodium?
Sodium? No, it was the main guy. What is it called? No, Citizen V.
Yes.
Yeah, Citizen V. She was like, I remember Citizen V talking about them and stuff. So she remembers stuff for being a teenager. unlike all of the other ones.
Wait, so you're saying something? What about teenagers? Oh, we gotta clear this up.
I think teenagers. I don't know.
Teenagers, what?
I don't know.
No, she
We
backing
were
up
going
from
somewhere.
it.
For a teenager, she was remembering stuff. She was actually doing better than the other ones.
So you're dissing on teenagers already?
No.
Okay.
That's
'Cause
okay.
I'm gonna hold that against you. Yours.
No.
Dazzler, you do have a fellow teenager here that is with us. His name is Booster.
Who's that?
I'm
Booster?
I'm an old man.
Ah.
Don't say that.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dazzler. That was very insightful, and it's interesting to get a new, fresh, and young opinion on the Thunderbolts. It is a lot of fun. I hope you read more of them.
Thank you.
Wait. We're gonna
Bye.
go camera out.
See
Hey,
you-
don't be afraid to give your opinions.
Oh yes.
Keep your opinions.
Oh, that was very nice. Thank you very much, DeWolf. I like it when Dazzler come on. She's actually incredibly well spoken for a 10-year-old girl. It's amazing.
Fair.
But getting back to the overall thing, well, now, this is spoilers, by the way, but just to let you guys know, these initial issues in the beginning is Baron Zemo and his villain team that are hiding as heroes with the intention of taking over the world. Now, eventually, their plan comes to fruition, but many of them have decided that they don't want to take over the world anymore. They want to be heroes. And all these initial books in the beginning are setting up that moment. And what happens is they betray Zemo and they stop him from taking over the world. And then they start to go to try to be heroes. And then for a long time, we have actually someone who was a bad guy in the beginning, and the Avengers helped him come in, and that's Hawkeye. Hawkeye comes in and he becomes the leader of the team, and they become a heroic team, literally trying to be heroic. So that's this whole setup is leading into that. That's what the Thunderbolts is about.
And talking about Jolt, you were saying whatever happened to her, and I was kind of digging and trying to think what happened to her. And I remember she was part of the. She got stranded during that storyline with Scourge into Counter Earth. You recall that storyline?
Not off.
So I don't think. Yeah, she was supposedly killed by Scourge, and then in reality, she was really stranded on Counter Earth, and she joined the Young Alliance to kind of rebuild Counter Earth after their destruction of society and all that stuff.
So that's where she ended up. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's thank you for that, Denelli. And as we go forward in the future with the Thunderbolts, now, as you can see, we were talking about making a comparison between this and Suicide Squad. You could say, well, there's no comparison. Suicide Squad is a group of villains that were forced by putting bombs in their head, or initially these wrist cuffs, to do good things or die. I mean, that's what the Suicide Squad is. These guys, they are a group of villains that decide to become good. So it's not related, right? But actually, much later, up in like the 160s or something like that, after many, many different things happen, and we start seeing more villains coming in, what they do is they become attached to the Raft. Now, for in Marvel, the Raft is the big ultra superhero, super villain prison, and that at that point, that is where the Thunderbolts becomes exactly the same thing as Suicide Squad. The only difference is they bring people on who want to be redeemed. They want to become more than what they are. And that's the real difference between the two, is this redemption point. Now, you guys want to talk about those kind of the overall Thunderbolts, the entire run. Any opinions?
I think there's a lot of power play behind the scene that's openly and not so openly. You kind of see it with this issue between Moonstone and Zemo about Jolt. You kind of see it with Atlas, trying to say, hey, do I really want to be a villain, with the other group? And you're kind of interplaying, you're forgetting the roles. So there's a little bit of back and forth power plays behind the scene that we got to keep an eye on during the series.
Yeah.
One thing that they do well in this whole run and that is they do a good job of adhering to continuity. And that's a huge problem in all comics, and everything that goes on with them. Here you take villains, because villains never got that much time on screen, so to speak, right? And in this particular instance, here you have villains like the Fixer, and stuff, and all these other guys, and they bring out who they were in the past and use them now and give them so much more dialogue and interesting characters and things. And they're tied into all these other different types of heroes who eventually come back. And you have to keep those things together in that continuity between them. And then you bring in Hawkeye, right? And how he works into there. That takes some good writing and attention to detail. And they did. And that's the important part about it, is they were able to do that.
Yeah, they were. And New Hero Comics says, don't some of them become villains again? Yes, they do. Absolutely. Yeah. And the team, as time goes by, eventually, as we get, I don't know, 70, 80 issues in, we start seeing the team shift around a lot. And we get a lot of different villains come on the team. It is a book where they could dump anybody they want and just show their face again, is what it kind of became, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it made sense for the characters too. Yeah, some of them maintain villainhood because they're really villainous, and you've got the other ones. Mach 1, aka the Beetle of all people. Here he is, and he's got the murder rap, and he goes to they toss him back and forth. He becomes incarcerated. He gets back out. He makes a deal with Hawkeye. He goes back in. And that's something he's got to keep dealing with over and over. In the meantime, the other guys are just absolutely becoming, still going evil because that's who they are, while the other ones can make amends because they want to in their characters. And that's one thing we always talk about in Comicsgate, is talking about how we want characters who you write them to whom they are after you've created them. And they really did a good job over and above any other teams and sometimes other characters, which is amazing considering where these guys were at and who they are, because they are villains and they have a dumb name like Thunderbolts and bad artwork in places.
Well, now that's a good point you bring up. I was going to come right to you, Todd and Tank. This is Mark Bagley doing the art,
Right.
here, right? What's going on?
Well, let me tell you. If you look at his sort of find his checklist of things he's done, this is a period in his career where he did 2 books at a time.
Oh.
He's a workhorse. He was a workhorse for Marvel. So if you look at current, I think he's on some. I don't know if he's on a Venom or something like that, or no, it's a Spider book, but it's sort of different. I don't know if it's Ben Reilly or whatever, but his work has gotten much better, storytelling wise. He's gotten to be a much better storyteller. But this period, like he was the, I don't know if you remember. Well, for those who don't remember, he won the Marvel tryout contest.
Mm-hmm.
So right from there, he started working and spent a lot of his time on spider-related books, whether it was the Ultimate Universe or whatever. So he, but during this period in his career, he was working on 2 different books, and I don't know what the other one was, but he was definitely a workhorse. So give him credit for that, because not everybody can do that. Now, there's an obvious takeaway when you do that.
Yeah.
And it's quality and sort of shortcutting and and I can feel for that too, but doesn't mean it's right.
Sure. I'm flipping through number 8 right now, looking at the artwork, and it's a little bit better. It's not fantastic, but it's a little bit better. And so I think you got a very good point there, that he does even get better even as he goes through this particular run.
Well, I can bring up later issues if you guys would like. Let's just pick a number. Let's say 42. How about that?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, the other thing about him is he's never been the guy to do a short run. Give him credit for that. He's always been a long run guy. I wish more guys were like that. Because bringing in a guy for 3 issues or 5 issues or whatever, and then he's gone and he's going on to the next thing, that's never really a good thing. I mean, it's got some good, it's pros and cons, but he's never been that guy. He's always done a long run.
What do you think about the art, Tank?
Well, learning that Bagley was working on 2 titles at once,
Wow.
I can forgive it because that would explain why there seemed to be a severe lack of thought. It seemed like it was a bunch of panels of pinup art. And that's why I got out of Marvel and DC in the mid 90s to begin with, was that it didn't feel sequential storytelling. It didn't feel like sequential storytelling. It felt like I was going from one pinup to another pinup to another pinup. And that's the way this one feels. It makes it real hard to get into the story. And I read comics like this. The first time I read a comic, I just read the artwork. And then I go back to the beginning of the comic, and then I read the script, and I can just fully appreciate the comic. If I can't get through that first reading and know what the comic's about, my second reading is going to be a little rough.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of picky, and I'll admit it.
Well, you see the art I have up here in front of me, Tank, and I chose a random one. I went down the list and I choose 42, and here we go. What is that I'm seeing? What is this monstrosity? Because that's really bad.
Rough.
That's really, 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 really bad. That's a woman, by the way, and it's a human as well.
Well, and it can be, but it's like, it's that whole thing that you find a lot in, since the Jim Lee era of skin being, everybody's got like 0.1% body fat.
That's true. But if we're looking over here at Atlas, and Atlas looks a lot better, right? Look at him; he looks fine.
They misspell ironic.
And this is Mark Bailey, but this is Mark Bagley. It's still Mark Bagley, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that there's a lot more form and structure put into the underdrawing.
It's her. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's
maybe that's
or something.
Well, it's funny. I see this a lot within comics. Of I want to draw a woman with big muscles, but what they're doing is referencing athletic men with smaller builds, and not, going to the muscle magazines and picking up the fitness magazines and the bodybuilding trades, and going to, because there's different categories of competitions. You have everything from like roided out monsters to natural builders to the fitness models to all that stuff. So it seems like a little laziness. It just feels lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now here we're looking at 82, I think, or 81. Now that's a much better cover. I like that.
I'm with Todd.
Now I don't like that, but maybe this
What
is
happened?
style though. I'm just showing other issues. I'm just randomly picking Thunderbolts. And
I
showing
like that better than the cover.
Yeah, well this is very stylized, and that's cool.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Who is this guy?
This is Velasco.
Wow. What's with his shoulder though?
He's a Spider-Man. I know it's weird. It's very stylized, very odd.
Yeah, but you got to carry that stylized thing through everything, and not just some things.
I don't like it.
No. This is when I stopped reading. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What the heck? Where's the consistency?
I can't believe in this era that they hired this guy. It was tough. It was like really tough. Like,
now, when did you say that was?
House style.
That was 81. Let me come to the very
81.
last one of the initial run. This is This is 2012, and this is 174.
Whoa.
Now they had more after this. This is just the initial run, right? And there we got a nice look at the fixer. It's not a bad cover.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Bagley color too, by the way.
A little bit better.
But this is Deacon Shavely.
A little setup. That's kind of nice. All right.
Yeah, see, this isn't bad. This is better.
He's a less is more guy.
Yeah.
I could have Mach 1 actually come out today, and I think I would just buy his comic.
Yeah, no, I like his story. He's an interesting character. He's got a good story.
especially with his backstory as the Beetle.
Hmm. Anyway, and I will also show the most recent one I
Ooh,
have.
that's a bad fist.
Yeah, that
That's a
is.
very bad fist. Right
Yeah.
And once again, we have that horrible Moonstone costume. It's horrible. I hate that costume. I do love the Atlas costume though. Let me go back over here and bring out the most current one I have, and this is from 2013.
And Songbird is kind of up in the air. It's like the shoulder pads, I think, are going too far, but just the like the bird on her chest is pretty good. And her hair's good.
We have a very different team here.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Dylan? Steve Dillon? He did Thunderbolts?
Mm-hmm.
Very different team we're looking at here. Very different.
Yeah, completely different.
Let's grab all the
Yeah.
favorites. Yeah.
General Ross
Different
is
style.
leading this team now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Red Hawk at this point.
But then we get into the interior. That cover is really nice. And then we're into this interior. What do you guys think about this?
Bait and switch. Bait and switch.
This is why I don't read them.
Yeah.
This isn't even good Steve Dillon, though, by the way. I mean, this is very mailed in.
Yeah.
Remember, Steve Dillon made his bones on, he was the guy that did Preacher, right?
Yep. And look at this nonsense.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. That is not good, guys.
And they print it on premium paper, right? Not on newsprint.
Right.
Nope. Yep.
Right. It was a $3.99 issue, I think, when this one came out.
But
I'd rather take my chances with a random indie.
Well, I think we can all agree that the art throughout Thunderbolts was better in the beginning than it became, and even in the beginning, it had its moments of good and not good. So art-wise, I think we can agree it's not the best book that's ever been made. What about story, though? What's the general thinking on story before we get up to our over/under, which we're going to give? Oh, we'll give it right now. Might as well get right to it. So, DeWolf, you are the one who suggested this book, and I think it was a great choice. These books, and what do you think? Do you think Thunderbolts are overrated or underrated?
It's an easy one. It's especially in their inception. Totally underrated. And as a matter of fact, I want to go ahead and use this moment here to. No, I'm not. I'm gonna wait till after all this, and then I'm gonna bring in something that I noticed from Dazzler's comments later on.
So you
go
said
ahead.
it's easy. So what's your choice, over or under?
Yeah, it's underrated. I think it's a great team, great concept. The fact that we haven't seen them in another concept, and I'm not talking about what you just showed there, in their finality with the Red Hulk and Deadpool and all that. That should have gone away.
Yeah.
But the fact that we haven't seen this in other media, be it, I don't know, cartoons and maybe even some maybe teased in a movie or something, some concept coming up soon. Netflix, a Netflix series like this. I think they're underrated.
It would be good. It's a good story. I mean, if you compare this story to, say, what they got going on now with the new West Coast Avengers, it's a team just thrown together because, it's.
Well, you're speaking conceptually. This is a great idea conceptually.
Yeah.
You can't keep it going though. It has a beginning and it has an end. It's not one of those things you can just draw out as a Spider-Man's continual life, and we're going to keep throwing stuff at him and he's going to keep winning. You can't do that with these guys.
Right. Zemo should have been exposed and then defeated, and then that's that.
And he was. And then they went on to become heroes. So what do you think, Todd? Is this underrated or overrated?
See, okay, it's hard to say because I never read an issue. Never.
Well, that shows you that it's not the hot property. So
and it was in its time. It was when people started to figure out, oh, this is Baron Zemo and this and that. You started to hear like, oh my God, this is a great concept. Again, concept. But I would say for how hot it was and the art that was in it, a little overrated.
Overrated. Interesting. Booster, we know you're just introduced to this, but what do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. because
Yes,
Booster
thank you.
isn't here.
I
Yep,
see Booster
yep.
left. Sorry about that.
Crikey.
Crikey. Well, go ahead, Denali.
Bloody mate.
Well, it was a little bit wordy for my taste. I think, Kurt could have rewritten that script to be less wordy, more economical, and kind of streamline it.
Mhm.
And I think it's a little bit underrated because it is a good run with the concept and everything, but the art's kind of a little bit overrated because even if it's Mark Bagsley doing 2 books at a time, first, if you're going to tell a good story, you should properly give that story and concept the time it needs to develop. You don't rush a writer to write a book in 3 months. It's not going to be as good as a writer that develops and gives it the time it needs in a year.
If I were to take a guess, Denali, I'm guessing he probably did laid off the second book for the first couple issues, and then went back to drawing 2 books. So that the first 2 or 3 issues, I don't know if you guys looked at it before I came in here, that the first issue looked crisp, clean, very good storytelling, and then he just sort of started to have to almost phone it in,
Right, and that's what I noticed as well, and that's a common theme that I've been seeing in these 90s run and in these late 80s runs as well, is that they are trying so much to put these contents out that there's no focus to it. There's good concept, but the execution is poorly done, and you kind of lose a bad book that could be good, a good book that could be great, and a great book that could be awesome. And because they don't have that focus to kind of give it that time that it kind of needs, they kind of lose out for the short-term game,
Yeah. There's an idea though that they thought that this wouldn't be a big run.
Right.
You know?
So I was just gonna say that that's why they didn't get 2 top tier guys or get a top tier artist, is because they weren't so sure. They weren't sold on it. Or else they would have gotten somebody with a bigger name and better art and stuff.
But that's the problem as well. You have to treat every story and give it your best, regardless if you think it's going to succeed or not. If you're going to say, "Oh, this concept, okay, it's going to be fun, whatever," and do it, and you don't give it your all, you're already asking it to fail from the
20
very
years later, some people are going to be picking it apart on YouTube.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Cool. What do you think, Tank? Well, Denali, did you say over or under?
A little bit underrated.
A little bit underrated.
I did enjoy.
What do you think, Tank?
I have to agree with Denali for the most part. I mean, it's slightly underrated. The concept is grossly underrated. It's a fantastic concept, and if it were actually treated with some care, and maybe a little love for the subject, it actually could have been a great conversational piece. This is one of those comics that actually could have been a vessel to discuss something a little political, criminal rehabilitation and recidivism. And, because Marvel's always been kind of nice and slice of lifey, superhero slice of life. And they really had an advantage, and it was never taken advantage. It was never jumped upon. And I think the series really suffered for it because without that element in the background, at the very least, the character development that came out of it didn't have any roots. There was no real reason for these. When the criminals went back to became heroes, and they went back to being criminals again, it was kind of like, a little ex machina, because I had an idea and the editor's been asleep. I imagine that the editor, the whoever the editor in chief is over at Marvel, they don't have an office; they have a bedroom, where they, come into the office and go to sleep all day, only to wake up and regurgitate nonsense onto Twitter.
Yes,
it's right. And
this could be a fantastic this could be an S tier. For those of you who like the video games, S tier is the best.
Yes.
Well,
this could be an S tier intellectual property.
yeah.
Because it really takes the Suicide Squad, the later evolution of the being attached to the raft, really could take the Suicide Squad to the next level. I mean, the Suicide Squad, they're bad people. They're just trying to get some time off of the best one is a cold-blooded assassin.
Am I wrong in how I remember this? Didn't they try to play on who Citizen V was? That he might have been Harry Osborn or something like that, or Norman Osborn? Or am I wrong?
Later, this is definitely Baron Zemo you're looking at here. Later, what you have is a descendant of the original Golden Age Citizen V, who goes after the Thunderbolts because they are they worked with Zemo and they, in his opinion, degraded his family name. So you do
Nice.
have that character come in later. Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
so here's something I want to take this moment to touch on something that Dazzler had said. I ask about the relationship aspect, because she's a girl, and I thought that she would maybe catch in on some of that, the romance things. And what did she tell us? I don't know. And she wanted the action still. So that right there, we're getting so much that it's being thrown at us about. I'm going to use the term SJW because we know what it means. And yet here is a 10-year-old girl, and she says, I want to see more action and that stuff. And it's fine. It's in there, and she's in here watching, like My Little Ponies and Equestria Girls and stuff. But I guess when it comes to her comic books and watching superhero teams, what she wants is some cool action and some plot. And maybe she doesn't need as much of that stuff with social dynamics that they keep trying to put in comics.
Well, true.
Well,
She's also
remember,
10, right?
right? Yeah. And she didn't poo-poo it. Like, she didn't go, yeah, icky, cooties.
Right.
She didn't really like, do it like that,
Story.
Yeah, yeah.
She just wants good story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you for your opinion, guys. In my opinion, I think it is underrated. I agree a lot with everything you guys had said. One of the things that strikes me is this is a story of redemption. This story is pretty well written. I mean, it does have too much dialogue. It is a little wordy. But even with that one issue, and they're all like that, to be honest with you, I still loved it. I loved this run when it came out. I enjoyed it a lot, and I've been rereading it here for this show, and I still love it. I don't know why, but it's just the right balance of fun. And one of the things I also think we make a mention to, because we do like to make references here to what is going on currently in Marvel and comics in general, compared to as things used to be. Now, if you look at this book, these are, ultimately it becomes villains trying to become heroes. But what do you have? You have several female characters. They all have their own stories, their own interests, their own involvement, their own powers. They're all capable. So and you have these female characters that are very capable in this comic book, yet these days they keep saying, "Oh, there's no female representation whatsoever," and of course we know that's nonsense. Every book we look at has females involved with it for them in some one way or another,
Yeah.
and this is a good example of that, right?
For example, Jolt is a young Asian American girl
And
who's kicking butt.
she's definitely kicking butt. She's a good character. Like I said, I think it's unfortunate that she didn't become a popular character. 'Cause I like the Joel character. But you got Moonstone, who's devious and always thinking about herself, of course, and you have the Songbird, who is kind of wasn't never really a villain anyway. She's just kind of in the wrong place, wrong time type of character, I think. But yeah, so I like this book. I'd like to see them do something with it. I'd really like to see them do some kind of like Netflix type series with it. It's a good story because, like Denali had said, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This story. You don't have to have it going on forever. It is a standalone series, I would say. But anyway, any other comments before we finish up today, guys?
No, we're good.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
I think we definitely covered it real well. All right, I'm going to go down the board and just ask you guys where everyone can find and contact you. So go ahead, DeWolf. Where can everyone find you, man?
They can find me right here.
Mhm.
That's clean and simple.
There you go. Todd.
Yeah, I'm gonna link my my channel. Everyone here who's in here who hasn't subscribed to it, please do. And you can also find me on Twitter at Maroney Todd.
Okay, Tank. You there, Tank?
He's one of the
Yeah,
monkeys.
yeah. No, I'm just having some internet issues. What was that?
Please tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Oh, yes. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Tank Ferret Art. You can also find me here on YouTube at Tank Ferret. Go over to my channel, subscribe, and hit that bell notification because on November 15th, Thursday, November 15th, I will be doing a live cast until YouTube cuts me off. And we're going to be having special guest stars and prize giveaways. Also,
Sweet.
check me out later tonight on Good Dog Press. I will be drawing live with Manny.
On
Excellent.
November 15th, if you've missed it, Chester is going to reveal his chest again.
I will.
So if you missed it, he's going to show us again.
I will.
Cut
And-
like he's cut like Lou Ferrigno.
I'm Jack, baby. Jack. Absolutely.
And
All right.
and Todd, you have an interview with on your channel as well with a guest.
Yes, November 13th at 6 p.m. I have Mike Barron, and we're going to be
Excellent.
talking cautionary comics. Chester will be involved with that. I'm going to turn over the controls so I don't make a complete knucklehead of myself. And I think this will be really enjoyable because I am going to do something that you don't see. I like to do interviews. I always dreamed of doing interviews as far as like being a talent or an artist to be interviewed. So I'm going to turn the tables and interview somebody like I would like to be interviewed.
Sweet. That's awesome. That's awesome. And thank you guys all for coming today. We really enjoy talking about comic books. And just keep in mind, if you have any suggestions for any comic book or series that you'd like us to talk about, let us know down in the comments below. Of course, you could use the links down below as well and go over to Fanspeak on Facebook and tell us there and become part of what we're doing and this growing thing. So thank you all very much for coming. And we're going to go ahead and let Denali close us out.
All right. So just to make a comment to John Diller, who was saying, I have yet to hear a writer who think their idea doesn't deserve the absolute best talent attention. The importance of promoting of a story is usually out of the direct creation's hand. True, but you know, you have to give time for the idea to grow organically and to come out. Awesome. You just have to be confident that the idea is strong enough to stand on its own. But that always leads me to my point. Your perceptions shapes your reality, so always make it a good one.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.
Aloha.